Good, great Saturday afternoon, everybody. Saturday, wow. See what I mean? I took a moment to try to get it together and still said the wrong day. Just bees like that sometimes. Great Monday afternoon, everyone. 'Tis Labor Day. I do know that, so I don't know why I said Saturday. But anyway, my challenge was to do 30 days straight of content, sharing with you all some things that are on my mind. And I missed the first day, dropped something the second day. Really, it was just an effort to get her done and not conscious, thought about what I was going to say. And then I did not do the second one that day or yesterday. So I'm just going to start again because that's what you do. Especially when you want to ensure that you complete the assignment. So my 30 days will be different than those of my team, but that's okay. I will get my 30 days done because what I want to talk about is really important, especially so much so to me, but I think it's important for everyone. And we're talking about self and making sure that we are looking out for ourselves, making sure that we take the time to learn about ourselves and protect ourselves, grow ourselves, everything self. So today's topic is going to be self-awareness, because I think that that's where it all really starts. When you know yourself, then you know how to move. And when you don't know yourself, that's when you start to you move weird. You don't even understand what you're doing, why you react the way that you do. So self-awareness and active self-awareness, right? Consciously knowing about yourself, what you like, what you dislike, what you're good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, what triggers you, both in a positive and negative way. So, right, triggers you to respond in a way that isn't great, respond in a way that really is a clapback to somebody, or in a way that is detrimental to you or someone else, versus a trigger that could motivate you. Knowing these things are what's going to help you get ahead, what are going to help you to move towards what it is that you want in your goals in your life. Knowing these things are what's going to keep you from responding in a poor way, right? We only can control ourselves. And the moment that we start to accept that is the moment that we will better be able to deal with whatever comes our way. Hey, Renee. So when we start to, when we don't have that knowledge of self, when we can't recognize when something might be getting to us in a bad way, or something is causing us to behave in a way that isn't our best selves, then we don't even know how to respond to it. We're doing things automatically. When you understand the sort of things that trigger you, that make you respond differently, or in a manner that you wouldn't normally want to respond, then that's when you're going to see, when you don't know it, when you don't know what triggers you, that's when you respond in a manner that may not be you, may not be the way that you want to respond to things. But when you understand what triggers you, you recognize those triggers when they're happening, and then you get an opportunity to make a choice as to how you're going to respond. And that's really the key, making sure that you have the choice in how you respond, understanding that you control you. And even when things outside of you are happening that really could break you down, could break anyone down really, you want to know, or you will know, that you have that choice when you have that self-awareness, and you can see what it is that may be triggering you, and you can turn it off, right? If it's going to make you do something that isn't really in character, or that you wouldn't normally want to do because it may be hurtful to someone, then you can choose what it is that you're going to do. So knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and not harping on either too much, right? You want to always work towards your strengths, use your strengths in a way that moves you forward. And recognizing your weaknesses is great, but you don't harp on your weaknesses. And depending on what your weakness is, you don't even try to develop your weakness. And that's a little different than what many people will tell you, coaches and the like, especially in sports. Well, in sports, you do want to develop areas in your game where you're weak. So we get that. But in life, we've been told always to work on our weaknesses to try to improve. And the thing is that you have to know and recognize or define for yourselves what it is that's important enough to you to work on. because nowadays we have Google University, YouTube University, we have our masterminds and people who are in our corners, who are on our teams, who we can reach out to or just learn from on the internet, period, that can help us in the areas where we are weak, where we don't have to spend our precious time that we could be using moving ourselves forward to try to develop a skill set that may not be as important to us, that is only needed for a moment, that that we can get that help elsewhere. And even if we pay for it, you're going to pay less for that information than for you to have to cultivate it yourself and be sure about what you're saying and give it. So it's really key when you're looking at your weaknesses in the correct context, that you know when it's time to maybe beef up those weaknesses, because having done so will really help you moving forward, or when it's okay to cut your losses, understanding what you're weak at and then knowing where you can get that expertise from. And that's one of the more interesting things. Knowing how to get information is more important than having the information. And that it's been around forever, right? People always have a circle of friends, of successful people, put it that way, that they can always turn to get the advice, to get the information that they need to move forward in a particular area, and not worry about earning or learning that information yourselves, because you don't want to be a master of everything. You specialize in what you're good at, and when you know how to get that information quickly that you're not good at, then that's where you're being most productive, and that's when you're going to see more success. So knowing your strengths and weaknesses, and obviously knowing your strengths says to play to those strengths as much as you can to help you get ahead. So that's a little easier than understanding how to deal with your weaknesses. And your weaknesses aren't a bad thing. Recognizing what they are and then moving forward is what's key. Knowing what motivates you in a positive way as well as in a negative way, so that you can do more of the positive and actually control the negative. When you don't take the time to know yourself, then you are out there kind of in the wind and letting things hit you left and right, not responding in the manner that you may want to, and just letting life dictate to you what it is that you're going to have instead of you taking the reins of your life. Now, having an awareness of these things doesn't always mean that you're being in control, but it allows you to be in a position to be in control. So that's why it's really important to understand what your triggers are, both negative and positive. And the positive would be the motivation, right? What is it that you can do? Who can you surround yourself with? What information are you listening to that motivates you to move forward in life and whatever it is that you want? Relationships with your spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, with your children, with their family, with your coworkers, right? So knowing that information is going to be key in helping you build relationships with people and move in a positive direction with them. And it's just really key for you to take some time to learn about yourself. Really, you already have, right? You got family and everyone else, but you really have to deal with yourself 24 hours a day. So understanding yourself should be one of the things that you work towards, so that then you can show people how to treat you, right? You treat yourself better. You show them how. You set boundaries for yourself. And we're going to talk more about a number of these things, especially setting boundaries for yourself. And then you then are in control of your life more so than when you don't have this self-awareness. And self-acceptance too, right? Maybe everything about you isn't the most positive. You choose to work on the things that you want to. And again, it's about being in control. And if you choose to do things that aren't in the most positive light, at least you made that choice to do so, versus having life and external circumstances control you. So self-awareness is really key, folks, and you want to be sure to take some time, write it down, and this is key as well. We have all of these digital products, our phones, iPads, our computers, that allow us to type more easily, get information more quickly. But how do you retain information? Better retain information. You write it down. You can hear it, you can read it, but when you write it, it reinforces what it is that you are learning and listening to. So I challenge you to take some time to write out these things. What is it that you consider a strength, or that someone's told you is a strength, right? Because maybe you are too close to yourself and you can't identify something that you do really well as something that actually empowers you versus and makes you more powerful, versus something that, because it comes naturally to you, you don't see it as something that is great and a strength. So find out from others what those strengths, what your strengths are, if you don't come up with a list for yourself. Your weaknesses are important, right? What motivates you in a positive manner, what triggers you in a negative manner, knowing those things, understanding your emotions, write those out and start to study yourself the same way that you study something that you want to learn. Self-knowledge and self-awareness is going to be the base for pretty much everything that you're doing in life. So I leave you with that. Let me know what you think. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, self-aware are you? I'm still learning, and so I'm thinking I'm more probably a 6, and gaining, and I'd like to be higher, but then I'm recognizing some of the things that I need to really investigate, like the whys of why you are the way that you are, and that's deeper, right? Self-awareness is writing that all out. Self-examination has you going to the, well, why am I this way? When it comes to your habits, your emotions, things that set you off, or things that got you to where you are, right? The paradigm that you have, the self-building, self-defeating, that self-doubt, all of those things that have have come, right, that have to do with self. But why you're like that, that's the self-examination part. But you want to start to just become self-aware. So for me, it's a scale of a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 about where I am. I'm continually investigating these things, and it's not comfortable. So it's not meant to be comfortable necessarily for you to examine yourself. You want to be honest, and sometimes that honesty will have you saying or will reveal to you some things that you may not want to accept about yourself, but you want to be honest in this process when you're determining or discovering who you are, what triggers you, and where you're going. So please do let me know where you think you are on that spectrum. 1 to 10, self-awareness. How much and how well do you know yourself? And then, let me know, and and therefore we can move forward in this discussion on how to become more self-aware. And I will chat to you all later, day 2. Bye-bye.